If you've spent any time at all creating automated AI images, you quickly hit this wall.
Hmm.
You find a tool that generates these amazing high-res visuals, but it either costs a fortune at scale or, and this is the really frustrating part, it slaps a giant, obnoxious watermark right across your beautiful 4K image.
Yeah, right over the best part.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
Today, we are basically unlocking a solution to that exact problem.
You're looking at a model called Nano Banana Pro to get stunning, professional, and crucially watermark-free 4K visuals for just about 30 cents an image.
30 cents, if you access it the right way.
Exactly. Our mission for you today is pretty clear. We're charting a course for true, clean, automated creativity.
We've dug through a whole stack of sources that guide us away from the official high-cost channels. We're going to focus on the efficiency of the Fal.ai API provider.
And we're integrating all of that into real, practical n8n workflows.
Yep. We're going to cover the 3 essential automation types: your standard text-to-image, the transformative image-to-image process, and then the advanced one, the game changer, feeding multiple reference images into a single cohesive output.
It's really about making a high-end AI generation a scalable business capability.
Not just a manual hobby.
So let's unpack this. What is Nano Banana Pro? It's designed for a kind of versatility that goes beyond just, standard generation. It's built for integration.
That's right. It handles the foundational stuff, the basic creativity, extremely well. But its features really lean into automation. First, you got your text-to-image, standard starting point, but known for exceptionally high-quality detail.
Right.
Second is image-to-image. This is where you transform an existing image with a new prompt.
Yeah.
You can take a simple photo and turn it into, a moody charcoal sketch, or shift a whole scene from daytime to a neon-soaked night.
But the one that's really revolutionary, the one that makes this a deep dive worth taking, is that third function.
Multiple images to a single image. This is so crucial because it solves the biggest systemic headache in automated AI creative work. You can feed the model several reference images, maybe different poses, different lighting, different styles of a single subject, and it creates a cohesive new output.
And that's the key to achieving reliable character consistency.
Exactly. Across different scenes in a story or, say, a product line.
And just to be clear on quality, every single generation we're talking about here is high-resolution, professional-grade 4K output.
Yep, 4K every time.
So if we look at everything this tool can do, what's the single biggest barrier this advanced capability really knocks down?
It enables reliable character consistency across automated workflows.
Okay, let's get into the strategy, the economics of it. Why are we steering clear of the official Nano Banana Pro API and focusing on Fal.ai?
Well, it really boils down to 2 things: cost and quality control. Fal.ai charges approximately 30 cents per 4K image generation.
30 cents.
That figure is just drastically lower than going through the direct official channels. It moves large-scale production from maybe one day to definitely feasible right now.
And what about that quality control aspect, the watermarking issue?
Crucially, Fal.ai's implementation does not result in watermarks. For professional e-commerce or publishing or studio work, a watermark is an automatic no. It's an instant rejection. So the simple absence of that watermark transforms the use case from, personal tinkering to professional deployment.
And for the developers listening, the sources also point out a pretty big technical advantage. Fal.ai uses an OpenAI-compatible API structure.
This is such a gift. If you have any experience at all integrating OpenAI services, the learning curve is minimal.
Right.
You just sign up for your Fal.ai account, grab your API key, and the whole authentication method is immediately familiar. It's a very low technical barrier to entry for massive cost saving.
So considering the sheer volume you can generate with automated pipelines, how does that 30-cent cost really shift the economics for high-volume users?
The predictable 30-cent cost per 4K image makes large-scale automation affordable.
So now let's move into the actual architecture. We're using n8n, which is an open-source workflow automation tool. Our basic text-to-image workflow needs 4 key components, kind of like stacking Lego blocks. You have a manual trigger to start it, an HTTP request, that's the POST request, a wait node, and then a second HTTP request, which is a JDT request to check the status.
Okay, so you start by configuring that initial POST request to Fal.ai. You set your authentication with the API key in the header. Then in the request body, you define your prompt, you specify new images as 1, choose your aspect ratio, and importantly, you set the resolution to 4K.
And this is where we hit maybe the most critical concept for automation, asynchronous generation.
Exactly. I mean, what happens when you ask an API to generate a massive 4K image? It takes time. It takes a lot of computational power. The API can't just hold that connection open and wait for the image to finish.
So asynchronous meaning not at the same time solves this.
Yeah. You submit the request, the API immediately puts it in a queue, and it only returns a requested. That's your tracking number.
You don't wait for the picture, you just get a tracking number to find out where the picture is later.
Which forces us into what's called the polling pattern.
Think of it like being at a busy restaurant. You place your huge order, that's the POST request, and they give you one of those vibrating buzzers. That's your request ID.
Right, you don't just stand at the counter.
You sit down and wait. So we introduce that wait node first, usually starting with maybe a 10-second pause, because 4K rendering needs a moment.
After that pause, the second HTTP request, the GetT request, uses that requested to buzz the API and check the status. We're just waiting for that status to change from processing to completed.
If it's done, the workflow moves on. If not, it just loops back to the wait node to check again in another 10 seconds. That loop is the polling pattern.
Exactly.
If generating a 4K image takes computational time, why can't we just wait for the result right away?
Generation is asynchronous, so the API immediately returns a tracking ID, not the final image.
That whole loop adds a bit of complexity, and I'll admit, even after setting up these flows many times, I still wrestle with prompt drift myself.
Oh, yeah.
You'll reuse a complex request that worked perfectly, and suddenly the model just interprets it differently than it did yesterday. It requires constant refinement to match how the model is, thinking that day.
That is a very true admission. It really shows that even with a perfect technical setup, that gap between human intent and machine interpretation is a constant battle.
And speaking of battles, sometimes the system just fails for no reason.
Right. That leads us straight into the real-world stuff, the troubleshooting that every learner needs to know. When you operate these systems at scale, API failures are just inevitable.
The most common failure we see, based on all the guides, is just a random API failure.
Yeah, sometimes under a heavy AI load, a request just fails. It's not your fault. But if you try it again 10 seconds later, it works perfectly.
For a beginner, that can be so frustrating. But for industrial use, it's a known thing. The solution is crucial. Building retry logic right into your n8n workflow.
Absolutely. If your workflow detects an error, you don't give up. Instead, you program it to just wait 5 or 10 seconds and then resubmit the exact same request. It's a necessity for any stable automation.
And what if the failure is creative? The image just isn't what you wanted.
Then you have to escalate your prompt specificity. The AI thrives on detail. Instead of just asking for a dog, you have to paint the picture with words. Lighting, perspective, style, mood.
Give me an example.
Try. A golden retriever puppy sitting in tall green grass, bright afternoon daylight, extreme shallow depth of field, captured with professional telephoto photography. Be specific enough for the machine to really understand your artistic intent.
So what's the single best countermeasure for those frustrating random API failures?
Build in retry logic to automatically resend the failed request after a short pause.
Let's move to workflow number 2. Image-to-image transformation. The technical structure in n8n is largely the same. You still need that asynchronous polling loop.
Right, but the request body changes. It has to include the image roles parameter now.
And that URL has to be publicly accessible, right? Because you're giving the model two things, a starting visual reference and a text prompt that tells it how to transform it.
Exactly. You're saying, here's the raw data, now change it according to this creative direction.
And there's a really powerful pro tip for this that can save a ton of time and credits.
Yes. The pro tip is this. Your prompt should describe the changes you want, not the entire scene you want to keep. If you give a picture of a house and just prompt a futuristic house, the model might lose the original composition. Instead, you should prompt, transform this suburban home into a sleek cyberpunk version, adding neon signs and chrome accents, but preserve the original structure's geometry. You're describing the modification.
That brings us to workflow number 3. Multiple images to a single image. This is that advanced character consistency solver we mentioned.
This is what solves that long-standing problem where you generate the same character twice and they suddenly have a different nose or hairline.
Right.
For this workflow, the implementation requires an array of image URLs. That means the request body uses image URLs plural, like literally, URL1, URL 2, URL 3.
So the model analyzes all those references at the same time to pull out and preserve consistent features for the new output.
Exactly. Imagine you're a webcomic artist trying to rapidly prototype character looks across 10 different panels. This workflow is revolutionary for that kind of content pipeline.
It is, but we have to share the honest truth here, the limitation for anyone seeking total mastery. While the consistency is excellent for rapid prototyping and content generation, it's not pixel perfect.
Right. Not for high-end professional animation where every single frame must align perfectly. Slight details might still vary. You may still need to cherry-pick the best results and use those as new references.
Even with that little caveat, the potential for scale is just immense. Whoa. Imagine scaling that 4K watermark-free quality to 1 million queries for advanced e-commerce, or highly personalized marketing campaigns that need consistent brand characters.
It completely shifts how we view creative production.
It makes creativity a function that you can calculate, optimize, and automate. When you're doing those image-to-image transformations, what's the single most effective prompting technique?
Describe the modification required, focusing on the changes, not the scene being preserved.
Let's talk about the money, because the value proposition is really what makes this whole strategy viable.
It is.
Recalculating the usage. 30 cents per 4K image means you get approximately 333 professional images for just $100. And that is totally predictable usage-based pricing.
We should put that in context, though. Midjourney requires a subscription, maybe $10 a month for about 200 images, and even their unlimited tiers have soft usage limits.
And
DALL-E is cheaper per standard image, maybe 1 or 2 cents, but that's not 4K. And critically, it's just not designed for these complex, programmatic, and automated transformation pipelines.
So for you, the learner, at what point does this 30-cent model become the undisputed choice over cheaper or subscription-based alternatives?
It's the clear winner when you require professional, watermark-free images, when you need to run automated workflows that programmatically generate images without a human, and when you want guaranteed high 4K quality without managing your own GPU infrastructure.
The true power of Nano Banana Pro really isn't unlocked as a standalone tool you visit manually. It's when it gets integrated into larger automated systems like n8n.
That is the key insight that separates the hobbyist from the professional. The value grows exponentially when you go from single-click generation to system integration. It lets the creator move past execution and focus entirely on strategic prompting and business logic.
The practical examples we found were fantastic. You could build a content pipeline that automatically pulls blog titles or article excerpts and generates unique, high-quality featured images in 4K for every single post.
Or think about e-commerce. Instead of doing expensive studio shoots, you could transform basic white background product photos into realistic lifestyle images, showing the product in dozens of different desirable settings.
Another incredibly powerful one is automated A/B testing for images. You automatically generate 50 variations of a marketing, visual, different styles, perspectives, colors, and then test them all to see what actually performs best. That is true data-driven creativity.
Yeah, it's huge.
Of those integration ideas, which one represents the biggest leap in efficiency for a content-driven business?
Transforming basic product photos into realistic lifestyle imagery for e-commerce represents the biggest leap.
So Nano Banana Pro, accessed affordably through Fal.ai and managed with n8n, it really achieves this perfect sweet spot for modern creative tech.
It's professional quality that's predictable, low cost, and completely automatable.
It effectively shifts image generation from a tedious manual task to a scalable business capability that works while you sleep.
The power of automated creativity isn't some futuristic promise anymore. It's accessible today for pennies on the dollar if you know how to leverage the asynchronous nature of these APIs.
Right. By automating the execution and the polling, you, the user, can move past the execution grind and focus entirely on strategic creative direction.
Our core recommendation here is to start simple.
Absolutely. Build that basic text-to-image workflow, pay close attention to that polling loop and the retry logic, test it thoroughly, and then build progressively more complex workflows from there, especially incorporating that character consistency feature to save yourself time.
It's time to move from manual prompting to becoming an automated pipeline architect. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into affordable professional AI automation.